The DNVR Avalanche post-game show presented by Bet365. The Avs lose their fourth straight game in a row, an overtime loss to the New Jersey Devils, but three of those losses are in overtime. So really, they've gotten 3 out of 8 points, which isn't great, but we'll talk big picture a little bit later. Today, right now, I'm concerned with this game. Bailey, what are your initial thoughts from this game? How do we stand the Avs losing in overtime in this one?
I'm kind of sitting in the seat of they got a point.
Yeah.
So it could be a lot worse given some of the things that we saw yesterday, and wasn't a great start in this one. That's I don't know. You overcome a 2-goal whatever that was and end up picking it back up. You force the overtime, which again, we talk about resilience with this team. That's something to be touted, but at the same time, it's the same conversation. At what point is that not enough?
Yeah, I mean, you have to start winning eventually, but I look more at the Boston game as the one it feels like you wanted to win there.
Yeah.
This one, you're in a segababa. New Jersey's a really good team. Yeah, you caused yourself some issues that maybe made your life harder than it had to be in this game, and you still scrapped the point out of it. Mm-hmm. And then you get to go back at this team in your next game with reasonably rested legs with a day off, and we'll see what it actually looks like. But
a day off, I think, is what everybody on this team needs to, especially after what these 2 games look like for the Colorado Avalanche.
Yeah. And then you get 2 more days off after that next New Jersey game to kind of reset over this heavy stretch that they've been going through. But I really have no problems with the overtime loss being the result tonight. The way some of that bread got made, I have issues with, and we'll get into that. But Colorado comes out of this game with a point, and I have 14 points of a possible 20 to start the season. And I know people are going to look at the record and go, "Oh, they're 5-1-4. They're, that's like it's 5-5." But really, it's more like they're 7-3.
Yeah.
And if you told me the Avs are 7-3 to start the season, you'd be good with that.
Yeah.
So I'm not upset with the overall picture. I am upset with some of the ways this game played out, but let's hit the 60-second rundown first before we really start digging into the weeds on this game here. First period started pretty poorly. Not horrible off the start, but the Avs just kind of started getting run over. New Jersey scores on 2 consecutive shots, and then all of a sudden it's 2-0, and New Jersey's in complete control. A lot of credit to the Avs for pushing back in the first period. They find a way to not lose the period. They get 2 big goals, one coming off Nichushkin's stick and the other being Nathan MacKinnon. Both of them come net front from some squirrely pucks. Good to see them working hard in the right areas. The second period was slower, but the Avs only gave up 3 shots on goal in that period. The problem is one of those was literally a 2-on-0. And that one ends up in the back of your net. You lose the second period. Third period, the Avs find a way to squeak a point out of this game. Their legs were clearly tired. They were struggling through the third, but Colton finds Nelson net front again, and you get yourself a point. And then overtime is the same story it always is when you put Nathan MacKinnon and Marty Necas out there together on 3-on-3, and they lose.
Yep. I guess my question to start things off here is you look at last game, right? Brock Nelson, not a great performance.
No.
But he gets on the board today.
He does.
Is that more of a positive than I think? Is this a positive people might be overlooking based on the result?
Probably. I was pretty critical of Nelson last game, and this is the response you wanted. You wanted him to come out and be a better player. And more importantly than anything, he has to convert, and he does in this game. And one game does not make a consistent quality play, but every step in the right direction you have to take. Yeah. And it's ultimately the biggest goal of the game for the Avs, since they couldn't get the one to get them over the finish line. They don't get this point out of this game with Brock Nelson. And I would extend that to the second line as a whole. It was a little all over the place tonight. Olofsson spent some time on that second line. Colton spent some time on that second line.
Lines were not a thing.
They were not
today.
Not really. But that core second line of Nelson, and it ended up being Nichushkin for most of the night together on that second line. Both of them got goals, and the guys rotating in, both Colton and Olofsson picked up points too. Yeah. So there was some quality play driving from the guys that you have to rely on. You needed it from them. You got it. Unfortunately, you needed a little bit more, but I don't put that blame at all on those guys.
No. I think as far as, a second line goes, this is what we've been asking of them for the season. And I think that's nothing to be shirked away from. Now comes the conversation, though, of getting that done earlier, and not just from the second line, from everybody as a whole. Because the first two that kind of happened, I mean, the conversation has to be had that while Minor looked great for most of today's game, they left him out to dry.
Yeah, certainly the first and third goals.
Yeah.
There is nothing you're asking Trent Minor to do on those. You need better play in front of him. It doesn't even, in my opinion, it doesn't even need to be like, oh, the Avs started the scoring early and got ahead, and they just need to not put themselves in a hole. We're watching on repeat. The Avs have first periods where even when they play well, the result isn't the Avs putting themselves in the driver's seat of the game. They've gotten leads even, but then they give those goals back in the first and then some. In this one, they gave up 2 before they even got on the board. You have to find a way to bring some of that consistency, the quality play that you get so often out of this team in the third period. There's no reason you can't get that in the first.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it's going to take. Some nights it doesn't even feel like they play a bad first period, but then pucks end up in their net. And you make your life too hard. Yeah. Especially on a night where there's all this other stuff stacked against you. It's why I think getting to overtime was so impressive, but also if you don't put yourself on the back foot, maybe you win this game.
And also, I feel the need to talk about energy comes into play too, because if you're playing from behind as much as they have been, you're not making your life easier at all. And again, we talk about the impressiveness of making it into overtime. And while that is a feat, while I think that is impressive, and again, the resilience conversation, it can't happen all the time. It's not sustainable. How many of those
just
games,
too hard.
How many of those games do the Avalanche lose down the stretch? And that
too many
where I sit.
Too many for sure.
I love that they've been able to come back from most of these so far and make it a hockey game and put themselves in a potential position to take away more than just a point. But that's not going to happen every night.
No, it's too hard. It's too hard to play that way in the NHL. And through the first stretch, through the first 6 games of the season, the Avs weren't doing that. Outside of the Dallas game, they were pretty much playing from ahead for the entirety of games. And you saw it led to pretty routine wins for them. Yeah. So they need to figure out how to get back to that place. And so many of the Avs issues, without getting into specifics, boil down to they just make their lives harder than it has to be on themselves. Night in and night out right now, they're doing things that give them a mountain they don't have to climb, and then all of a sudden they find themselves scaling it. It's hard.
The thing that I worry about too is you've seen really good teams in Dallas, Carolina, and Jersey.
Yep.
Those are the only, from say what you will about other teams, making themselves competitive.
Utah's just a hot streak for now. They got to prove it still. Yeah.
But those are the only 3 teams that you've seen in this first stretch of games so far, and all of them you come out of on the wrong
an
end
OT
of
loss,
an OT
yeah.
loss or shootout loss. If you can't beat those good teams, that's not what you have to make yourself a better team than that, especially if this is a team looking to be a contender.
Yeah. And again, I'm willing to give a little bit on this game because it's a segababa. New Jersey is playing out of their mind good. That this is their 8th straight win. The Avs have, again, not that I'm putting this game on Trent Miner, but they have their 3rd string goalie in net, and they still went toe to toe with New Jersey. I'm more okay with a lot of the positives to take out of this game. The frustrating part is it continues to be the same negatives over and over now. You can't keep having the same things happen and expect a different result.
That's insanity.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
Insanity, the definition, doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. And that's why I keep bringing up the sustainability of it all. And this isn't a situation that is going to work out in the Avalanche's favor if this is the route that they're still going on by game 20.
Yeah, again, I struggle because I do think a lot of the things they're doing at 5-on-5 is sustainable. It is.
Yeah.
But the sustainability of the quality play continually gets shot in the foot because they make the big mistake, because they're not getting what they need out of the power play, because they don't have the supporting plays beyond the dominance at 5-on-5. Even in this game at times, I would say dominance at 5-on-5. But that dominance doesn't matter when every mistake you make is so bad that it ends up in the back of your net. And then because you put yourself in these holes, you're not able to get it over the hump at the end of the game.
Yeah.
There's a couple of things to talk about here. It's hard to be upset, I think, with the majority of the Avs lineup in regulation, if not the entire Avs lineup in regulation. You get scoring out of your first line. You get a ton of scoring out of your second line. Your third and fourth lines, I think, were just okay tonight, but they're your third and fourth lines. That's what it's supposed to look like. They didn't lose you the game.
Right.
And you come away from a game where, yes, there were big mistakes in this game. And if you fix any of them, you probably win the game. You don't need to fix all of them. You just need to fix any of them.
Yeah.
So while we'll talk about a bunch of these negatives more in depth, it's not like, oh, the Avs have all of these problems and they have so many things to fix. If you just fix a little bit of it, you're there.
Yeah. No, that's... And that's the hope for the next week. And that's something I'm hoping the Avalanche will focus on when they can get back home with a couple of days off too. That's the beauty of, I think, this next week is you have a little more time to sit and workshop some of this. And if you can even use, the day that you have tomorrow, and I'm thinking they'll travel tonight, get back home tomorrow, take some time to focus on that, and then you play them again on Tuesday.
Yeah, you're still waiting for that big win, right? You just talked about it. You don't have to wait very long. You get another chance on Tuesday to go get that win. It's I don't know. The Avs have lost 4 games in a row. I'm not going to fault you if you're upset about it and really want it to be better. But this game in particular, it's just not the one I'm honed in on.
No.
Boston, yes. Even some of the ones before that, yes. But this one, the Avs grinded out. They grinded out a point. Again, yes, technically they're 5-5, but really they're 7-3. You have a team that is missing their starting goaltender through that 10-game stretch also. Yeah. And like, I am not a Bednar hater. I'm not a believer that Bednar should be fired. We can have that conversation if you have struggle in the playoffs again this year. But as it stands right now, I do not believe Bednar should be concerned about his job at all. However, there are some mistakes made by Jared Bednar in the last couple of games.
Yeah. For first point I want to touch on there, if this is a team that starts to get themselves in a hole that they cannot climb out of 20, 30 games into the season, maybe I start having that Jared Bednar conversation sooner.
Sure,
rather
but
than
we're
later.
just not
But
there.
This is
Yeah.
not, again, as you said, there's little mistakes that need to be fixed, and not all of them need to be fixed right now.
Right.
Again, I don't know. I'm Bednar. Something if these mistakes continue to happen, I get worried a little bit, and I worry even more if that leads them into a poor playoff position.
Yeah. It just, I struggle to see a world where most of these mistakes continue to happen on a nightly basis. I really do. We'll get into those mistakes in a second. We do need to take our first break of the show. We are brought to you by the fantastic folks over at Dick's Sporting Goods. You see this shirt right here? You can get it at Dick's. DNVR merch now available at most of the Front Range Dick's locations. So stop by your local Dick's today for the hottest apparel and footwear from brands like Nike, Adidas Originals, FP Movement, VRST, Calia, Us, and more. Plus, you can score the latest equipment for pretty much all the sports: baseball, football, soccer, basketball, golf, more. And you can even get your tailgating essentials. If you find a lower price on any of that gear, you can also get it for your best price guarantee. Dick's will match whatever price you find, assuming it's legit, obviously. Get your gear fast with free curbside pickup at your nearest store or easy shipping from Dicks.com, because every season starts at Dick's. Once you got all your gear, maybe you want to do some betting on some sports too. And that is where our presenting sponsor, Bet365, comes in. They're an official partner of the Colorado Avalanche. They offer a bunch of great boosts for bonus bets, and they also even do an early payout. Your team gets up by 3 in a hockey game, you are automatically awarded the bet as a win. Doesn't matter if the other team comes back, you still get it. The best deal, though, sign up with code DNVR365 on a new account. Put $10 in your account. Bet $5 on anything, win or lose. You don't even have to hit that bet, and you'll get $200 in bonus bets. Those bonus bets can be used on pretty much anything on the site, and it's like free money. If you hit bets, awesome. There's real money in your account now. If you miss with the bonus bets, well, it was free money anyway. No big deal. So get signed up with the DNVR365 code at Bet365 today. There's a QR code on screen to download the app. Of course, when you do gamble with Bet365, you must be 21 or older, physically located in Colorado. Please gamble responsibly. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER today. Second period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast. Look, we have the hindsight on our side. It's a lot easier for us to sit here after these two games and make these calls, but it feels like a pretty easy read that the way the goalies got started in these two games probably should have been flipped.
I don't think that's even a hindsight issue.
Yeah.
To me, looking at these two matchups, looking at the way Wedgwood's been deployed so far this season, and taking a look at what Minor was able to do during the Carolina game, the easy choice for me there is to play Minor in that second or in that first game where you're playing a worse Boston team, and then rest your best goaltender so he can put up the best performance possible against one of the best teams in the NHL.
Yeah.
That's not even a hindsight issue.
I think you're right, but I'm trying to be as generous as possible here. And I don't fault Minor here. That second goal he gives up is bad. It's one you need, but he's playing his 4th ever NHL game. He's a 3rd string goalie. Expectations have to be realistic from your goaltender there.
Yeah.
And we're still waiting for a game where the Avs outscore their problems in this season. The Avs have not won a game in which their opponent has scored more than 1 goal yet this season.
It's not good.
Doesn't feel great.
No.
So you need a little bit more help for your goaltender at times. And again, the first and third goals are just horrible. The third goal especially is how can you let that happen?
Right.
You just, it's a 2-2 game and you give up a 2-on-0 on your rookie
straight
goalie.
down the middle.
Right. Like there's just, it was a funny ricochet. Okay. Where's your defenseman at the blue line? Why is he pinching on a YOLO play like that? You got to keep the play in front of you some of the time, even in an active system like the Avs.
Right.
We were focusing on Bednar first, though, so let's get back to that. I know we're going to go a little bit out of order. And it's 3-on-3 overtime. We can put things in separate categories. A lot of the criticism of Bednar from the people who don't believe in him as the Avs coach is, oh, he can't win in the playoffs. And I don't want to get into that conversation. I just want to make the point that him being bad at 3-on-3 overtime has literally zero effect on the playoffs, right? This 3-on-3 overtime doesn't exist in playoff hockey. With that being said, I do not understand why he is so stubborn with playing what was MacKinnon and Mikko and now is MacKinnon and Nichushkin together.
I thought the first unit he puts out there for
Yeah,
3-on-3 is great.
Nelson
You've got some
Nichushkin.
confidence in the defense that they can provide if you lose possession.
Yep.
I'm of two minds here. I think, no, it does not matter in the playoffs, but it is what gets you into a good position to play.
Sure.
So that's where I'm like, it's maybe a non-issue by the time, April 16th or whatever the last day of the season is hits. But to get there and put yourself in a good position seeding wise, home ice advantage, I think is, a prime point to be talked about. It is an issue that I think needs to be solved. And putting my whole thing with that is too, you see that it doesn't work already.
Yeah.
It already bites you once this season.
And Bednar has long been adamant about the phrase of, well, you win and lose with your best players. I'm going to put my best players out there. And in most situations, I agree with that concept.
Mm-hmm.
You have to do some of that. But especially when it comes to Nathan MacKinnon, we've been doing this for a decade now with Nathan MacKinnon being bad in overtime defensively. Yeah, once every sixth overtime, he'll make an all-world play and win you the game. Mm-hmm. But the other five, he's going to turn the puck over and put you in a tough spot, which you could live with if you put an adult with him.
Mm-hmm.
Put an Arturi Lehkonen on his wing, a guy that you can trust reliably to not completely fall apart defensively, and you get away with some of that.
Yeah.
But Bednar continually puts a winger next to Nathan MacKinnon in overtime that is bad defensively.
Mm-hmm.
And the results shouldn't surprise you at this point.
And I'm the biggest Martin Nichushkin truther when it comes to overtime. In his career, he is known to be great in overtime, a difference maker, a guy who's going to go out there and score you the game-winning goal. I am all for putting him out there.
You're right.
But defensively, if you're looking for some sort of defense that's not coming from Cale Makar, it surprises the heck out of me.
Don't take this. I'm not saying bench MacKinnon nor Nichushkin. I'm just saying don't play them together.
One should be on the bench at any given time.
You can put an adult with MacKinnon in Nichushkin or a Lehkonen. You can put an adult with Nichushkin in a Nelson or a Drury.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that complicated. And again, if we were in year 3 of this, you're like, well, we're going to let MacKinnon work through it and we're going to figure it out. And he's just still adapting. No,
no.
We know what Nathan MacKinnon is in 3-on-3 overtime at this point in his career. You know what you're getting into and you keep doing it to yourself. You just don't have to.
Yeah.
I wanted to pick that bone, even as I am a Bednar fanboy. It's just, you don't have to do that.
It's such a tough pill to swallow at this point. Because, again, this is not the first time that this combination has burned you.
Yep.
And I'm not just talking about, like, MacKinnon at this point, too. Nichushkin is the one that kind of fumbles that coverage in front of the net a little bit for me. And
I will say, to be fair, it's a tough puck that Makar sends Nichushkin in that defensive zone, but also no sympathy. If you're out in 3-on-3, make the play, especially if you want to put blame on Cale Makar, they're fine. But let's be real. The Avs throw grenades to Cale Makar all day at the blue line, and he figures it out. He makes it work.
Yeah.
Nate just had to figure that one out.
Yeah. No, that's where I'm sitting with that one. There is, in a game like this where you do end up clawing your way back into potentially earning 2 points, it's a very small margin for error.
Yes, absolutely. You can't afford when you put yourself in a 2-0 hole, you cannot afford anything
No.
at that point, basically.
Anything you get out of that point is, great.
Right, exactly.
Awesome.
And there are two things that are true, right? Don't put yourself in a 2-0 hole. That's bad. But from that point on, you did battle back.
Right.
You did earn what you got out of this game, which is great, even if it isn't 2 points.
Mm-hmm.
You look up and down the lineup in this game. There was, and I do chalk this up to maybe there's a certain amount of whoever has legs in a segababa, but pretty decent confirmation that outside of your top line, which I don't think you're messing with MacKinnon, Lehkonen, and Natchez too much.
Mm-mm.
The other three lines, anything might be on the table at this point after tonight's game.
No, I mean, we saw that.
Yeah.
This game is living proof of that anybody's job can be in jeopardy.
Yes.
And that should scare them. And yes, I understand. It's game 10. There's a lot of hockey left. There's a lot to be played. There's still experimentation to figure out. I'd rather them get in this situation where nobody's job is safe now.
Yeah. I mean,
rather
for sure.
than in game 70.
True. 100%. There are some staples you can rely on. Again, if you ignore 3-on-3, your top line is great.
Mm-hmm.
They were great at 5-on-5 today.
Mm-hmm.
Nichushkin continues to be great. I don't think you can really say much there. He's pretty impeccable, scores another goal tonight. Victor Olofsson has quietly been very, very good.
I want that goal for him.
I know. He's got to get one. He had to settle for another assist, but he has 5 points in 10 games. That's middle six production. You're getting it out of that guy. Nelson looked better today, and kind of regardless, the Avs don't have another real option at 2C, so he's your 2C.
Mm-hmm.
But you have Olofsson. You have Landeskog. You have Colton. You even have Gavin Brindley was getting shifts on the third line tonight.
Yeah.
Your wingers are in whoever's got it at the moment mode right now.
Mm-hmm.
On one hand, that feels like a little bit of a luxury that the Avs do have the ability to mix their lines like that, and you feel okay with it. Again, Colton and Olofsson both got points tonight. On the other hand, when do you need these guys to start solidifying where they are in the lineup?
I think it's something you want early production from. If I'm not getting that until game 15, 17, I'm okay with that, but it does need to start coming soon. Again, that's where if you're going to make these kind of changes and play like you're in a whoever's got it, has it mode, that's fine right now, but there has to come a point, I think, where when you do start playing these better teams, you're going to start looking for some of these top guys to be producing on a consistent level.
Yep.
And then a bigger conversation needs to start happening if that's not what you're getting. And that's the point, again, where game 15 through 20 is when you want to really start seeing that more consistently. If not, the Avs have a much bigger problem to sit down with.
Yeah, and I don't think they have that problem. I really don't. What is not getting any better is the power play.
Mm-hmm.
And, I feel like we're already at the end of our rope with how many other ways do we say the power play is bad at this point. But it goes 0 for again tonight. They are 1 for their last 24 on the power play. And I don't have any optimism that it's going to get better. We're in the room where it's bad until it's not now.
Mm-hmm. No. I feel like it started to kind of, it looked okay to start the season, right?
Yep.
And you're talking about all these dangerous chances they're getting. That is no longer happening. This is a power play
it's moved
that is
in the wrong
progressively
direction.
gotten worse.
Yeah.
And for something that, you've got a Nate, you've got a Jared Bednar, you've got a Cale Makar all saying that Power play looks great. Their chances are just not finishing. And then that starts to go away too. That's an issue.
Yep.
And I don't want to get into a change of personnel conversation just yet, just because I feel like it is very, very early for that. But you turn over your old power play coach for a Dave Haxtell, who ideally has had good numbers in the past and can be the fix. Something needs to happen systemically.
Post Dallas game, your power play is operating at 4%.
Mm-hmm.
That is heinous. Even in a cold streak, it should not be that bad.
No.
I'm a little bit at a loss with it. I don't think they need to change personnel. I do think you can send a message, though.
Mm-hmm.
You get a power play against New Jersey on Tuesday in a game where you're not desperate for offense and just hoping it clicks. Roll Parker Kelly and Gavin Brindley over the boards for that power play.
Yeah.
And don't even just stare right at Nathan MacKinnon for that entire 30 seconds and be like, this is what's going to happen if you don't figure it out.
Yeah. No, and I think there is some accountability to be taken for some of these more talented guys on this unit. I mean, you and I talked a little bit before the season started about how we were so excited with the personnel available to them to be able to roll out 2 units. And now you're in a situation where you don't really feel comfortable rolling out 1. And you might get better out of your second unit than your first in some spurts, vice versa, whatever. You need some accountability from those top guys like a MacKinnon, like a Nichushkin, to at least get something going.
There is no amount of coaching, I think, that fixes what's wrong with the Avs power play right now. Coaches don't shoot the pucks. The coaches don't enter the zones. Mm-hmm. The coaches don't get to the dirty areas. And if you don't believe me when I say this, I don't know what to tell you, but the Avs are not coaching the Avs to stand around the perimeter and do nothing. No. That is not what they're coaching their team to do. At a certain point, it's on the players to get out on the power play and perform.
Mm-hmm.
And they just aren't right now.
Yeah.
I speak for myself. I could live with that early in the season because it was like, well, they're creating pretty good plays. You feel like they probably should have a couple of more goals than they do on the power play, but they're getting goalied or a chance just doesn't quite connect. And then you have a night like tonight where you get maybe one decent chance across the power plays they had in this game. Maybe one.
It's a difference maker.
Yeah.
It's the difference between a 1-goal game and a game where you're leading by 2 or more.
Yep. I will die on the hill if I don't think the Avs power play is actually this bad. You could have these players play shinny hockey on the power play for the rest of the season, and it would be better than 4%, just by the pure ability of the players the Colorado Avalanche have. But we're getting away from, it's just in a bad streak and the players are good and it'll pull through, to what's it going to take to get out of this?
It's the talent is there.
Yeah.
Everything is set in place for this to be a really, really scary power play. Again, it comes down to accountability and expecting your guys to. I fully expect them to sit down here in the next couple of days, look back at what the first 3 games looked like.
Yep.
And what was working then that is not translating now.
Yeah. And again, for context, all of these problems have the Avs as 14 out of 20 points, which I believe technically ties them with Utah at the top of the Central. Utah's played a game less, so there is some backing there, but
I don't know. And looking at division, where am I at? Yeah, they're tied at 14 points.
Yep. So
Utah has 2 more wins, though.
Ah, man, the Avs are missing out on some wins, and it's not perfect, and they're still fine.
So Yes, there's concern, but I don't think
Totally.
the hot plate is red hot currently.
There is concern. The panic button is still enclosed in its glass sheath.
Mm-hmm.
No one's
The
thinking
hammer
about
is not out
right.
yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not anywhere close to pushing that just yet. Again, and as we've said, once we get to game 20 and some of these issues are still glaring issues,
Yep.
maybe that hammer comes out. Maybe we start looking at that enclosed panic button a little bit closer. But as of where they sit right now,
Yeah.
I'm not as worried as other people might be.
If they get 14 points out of 20 in their next 10-game stretch, you're still good.
There are other potential playoff teams that look a lot worse right now.
Exactly.
I'm not in a position of like glaring concern for the Avalanche currently.
We do need to take our second break of the show to shout out the official craft beer of DNVR, and that is Breckenridge Brewery. You can get in with them today. They have dozens of different flavors of beer, something for everyone. I'm, of course, love the classic Avalanche Amber Ale, but if you like APAs, they've got things like the Ridge Runner. They've got some hazy ones. They've got rotating seasonal beers. I actually need to check what their fall Halloween beer is this year. I usually love Halloween beers, so got to go check that one out. And you can get them in all 50 United States now. So go check your local liquor store for Breck Brew, or you can go online to breckbrew.com to find the liquor locator near you. Again, check them out at breckbrew.com. They have a bunch of cool merch too, all sorts of other good stuff. And they're even made with 100% renewable energy. So get your Breck Brew today. You can also get your Breck Brew at the game when you get there with Game Time. Go download the Game Time app today and sign up with the code DNVR, and you'll get $20 off your first purchase in the app. Of course, terms apply, but Game Time will get you the best prices for tickets, whether it's their last-minute ticket deals, their section selector, or you can just use their Game Time Picks feature. Search for the tickets you're looking for, and they'll filter out all the junk, only show you the best tickets for the best prices. And it's not just going to Avs games or Nuggets games or sporting events. You can get into things like the concerts and theaters too with Game Time. They'll even reimburse you 110% of the ticket price in your account if you find tickets cheaper somewhere else. So remember to use that DNVR code with Game Time to get $20 off your first purchase. Tap, ticket, go. Take all the guesswork out of getting tickets with Game Time today. Third period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast. A couple of other factors that I want to get into in this game. And I do want to talk about some of the positives too, because the Avs managed to come back from a 2-goal deficit in the first period. And they did something very well that we've been asking them to do in this hockey game. Maybe the volume wasn't as high as it's been in previous games, but look at where even not just the 2-goal comeback in the first period, but all 3 of their goals scored in the middle of the ice, 2 of them directly at the top of the crease, one a little bit further out from Nichushkin, but it's off of a rebound. Mm-hmm. When the puck isn't going in for you, when you have a shooting percentage like the Avs do, which is before tonight was on the wrong side of 7% at 5-on-5, despite quality play, go to the net, bang at pucks, get things to go. Mm-hmm. They did that tonight. Yep. Awesome. That is... especially on a night where you know you might not have the energy to really do it all. You got to expend that energy in the right areas of the ice. And the Avs deserve a lot of credit for doing that in the offensive zone.
Again, for me, it comes down to predictability. And they limited some of that today, which I thought was a major step up from yesterday. Perimeter play is still something I'd like to see them get away from a little bit. And you saw less of that today, which I will say is a vast improvement.
Yep.
Getting a little more creative, getting a little more gritty, getting chances that are a little harder to predict closer to the net, I think is exactly what this team needs to score goals. If the other creative, sharp shots that are hitting the logo every single time aren't working for you. And that's what they created today. Yep. It's exactly the kind of goal I think Nelson needed to finally kind of break whatever funk he was in.
Yeah. I hope that's what it is, right? I hope it's a little bit of a funk for some of these guys that haven't been able to get on the scoreboard too much. If you can break free from it a little bit, great. All up from here. I think that should be the goal for the Avs. And again, I'm not saying this is rock bottom. All the Avs have been so bad. But if you can move in the right direction from we're really close to having 18 points out of 20, you're going to be a really good team. And doing the little details like going to the net is part of that. Now, at what point, as we're drifting back into the negatives here, but at what point does the defensive puck management go from its early season sloppiness to we need to fix it?
For me, that's, I think, one of the earlier fixes that you try to get a hand on, because the longer you let that go, the harder it's going to be to fix. Old habits die hard.
Yeah.
That's the saying, right? And
practice how you play.
Right. And it comes down to a list of priorities for me, and that has to be on the top of their list. Or at least very, very close to it, right? Is if this is something that continues to be an issue, all of the other things are, I think, moot at this point. This is a team that you want to be, it's proving itself to be a very good 5-on-5 team. And if that's still an issue during 5-on-5, that's something I would love to see them fix early on. That way you're controlling some of that a little better in situations like a 4-on-4 or like a man advantage.
Yep.
Where maybe it does matter more in some cases in regards to keeping possession, keeping the zone, things of that sort.
I'm tired of sitting here and looking at plays that go, that just can't happen.
Mm-hmm.
And the 2-on-0 just can't happen.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. From a standpoint of a bystander or even a coaching staff, I don't know what you do to fix those issues. Is there anything you like? Is it a mindset thing? Does it really just boil down to, in this case, I put most of the blame on Josh Manson for that 2-on-0 developing. It might have been a 2-on-1 anyway, but having one guy back makes a world of difference. Is it really just as simple as going to the player and being like, come on, man?
I think it's a little deeper than that. Because it is, yes, Josh Manson maybe is to blame for that play, but it takes an entire team, right? He's not the only guy out there on the ice. So there's, I think, something to be said about that. And yes, correcting where correcting is needed. I think with that said, though, Josh Manson's had some really great talking points in other games, including this one. He maybe wasn't as aggressive in driving the net as other games.
No player is only defined by their mistakes, for sure.
Right.
It just feels a little too consistent right now from the team as a whole, right? You watch the turnovers happen, and on a team-wide level is more concerning to me than an individual turnover making a bad play.
Mm-hmm.
And the Avs continue to work through those issues. Again, you're not going to play a perfect hockey game, but you can reduce the severity of those issues pretty significantly right now, because the story of most of the bad periods of the Colorado Avalanche season so far is, well, they really only gave up 3 shots on goal in the second period of this game. That they're not giving up a lot. It's just that what they're giving up is outrageously dangerous.
And at that point, too, outscoring your issues isn't even a thought at that point, too.
Yeah.
Yes, scoring is an issue, but outscoring your issues doesn't need to be a problem if those are not as big, the big mistakes that they are. Right. And that's curb those and fix scoring like that. That's, I don't know how to put it any more simply than that. Those big mistakes cannot be the big mistakes that they are. And yes, talk to the players in fixing those, but outscoring your issues cannot be the mindset that you're going into every single game with.
I certainly think that's true when Mackenzie Blackwood gets back.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a certain amount of that you have to have with playing your backup and your third string goaltender.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's as simple as you would rather give up 8 shots from the point and say, oh, well, maybe the possession numbers didn't look as good, but there wasn't a lot of danger, as opposed to ever giving up a 2-on-0.
Yeah.
You got to pick your battles, I guess, is the sense I'm looking for. And again, I don't think the Avs are playing horrible hockey.
Mm-mm. I think doing what they did against this New Jersey team, given where this fell in the schedule, how it fell onto them, is a win.
Yeah.
I think that is the biggest positive for me to take out of this. Yes, the overtime loss sucks. A loss in general sucks.
It's never fun
But
to lose.
It's that's kind of where I'm at, is if they can play like this and deplete in certain ways a New Jersey team that is going into this game with more rest, like that's a positive for me.
Okay, let's have this conversation. I don't think it'll be a long one, and I don't put any blame on it. The Avs lost this game all by themselves.
Mm-hmm.
That was a trip, though, in overtime on Brock Nelson, right?
Yeah. This game in general was just very, very weird. And this screams from the refs anyway. I have somewhere to be. Let's end this sooner rather than later, and they get it to overtime, and it's just like bleh.
Yeah,
I don't know. That's the way that I'm looking at it, and you'd like to see some of those calls go different ways, even if it's not for the Avalanche. If they're doing a horrible job when it comes to discipline and creating a lot of those penalty kills for themselves, that's on them. But the call, I don't know. Making the calls to sway games is one thing, but making the calls when it's so blatantly there is another.
It's like you said, it's about consistency, right? Brock Nelson got called for a trip just like that earlier in the game.
Mm-hmm.
It's tough. Also, chat, relax. If you want to make fun of me being on camera and stuff, fine. I don't care. But don't make fun of our producer. That's just a dick move. Stop doing that shit. Be nice. If you can't be nice, get out of here.
There's other places you can go be.
Yep. Look, as good as I feel about the Avs, despite losing this game, you don't want to sugarcoat a 4-game losing streak.
No.
Losing 4 games in a row feels bad.
No, and again, even if it is early in the season, I don't think this is something. I don't think that's a mindset the Avalanche are looking at this as a lot at this as.
And
a loss
I don't
is a
think
loss.
they should. Yeah.
A loss is a loss. Yes, you get a point out of it, and stacking points is good, but a loss is a loss.
Yep.
And this is the point where I think they start to become nitpicky and looking at, yes, you're clawing your way back in. Yes, there are some good things we are doing. Why were we there in the first place?
I think that is the focus. I asked you in the pregame if it's more important for the Avs to lean into the positives of their game or clean up the negatives. And while I was on the fence about it being either way in the pregame, after this game, I think it's becoming more clear that the Avs need to clean some things up.
Yeah. No. And they've got a couple days to do that, right? This week. They've got a couple off days, got a couple practice days where they can sit down and workshop, which is exactly what they need. It's really all you can ask for in a situation where you are down 4 games in a streak. They've got the time to workshop it. Again, while it is early in the season, it's not great, but there is 82 games in a season. There's a lot of time for them to look at this, fix it, move forward, and be better.
Yes. I think we all believe, and I think that's why we're seeing a lot of frustration boil over, is because we know the Avs are better than this.
Mm-hmm.
We know the Avs have better hockey in the tank. Not, because we're getting Blackwood back. Not, because... No, as currently constructed, we know the Avs are better than they've played in these games. Mm-hmm. And I'm not particularly worried about them getting there still. I think they will, but the sooner the better.
Yeah, that's always the hope. And as much as, hopium can fuel, there's realistic expectations and things. And while maybe the turnover this season was not that of other teams, there's still a lot to workshop. There's still a lot to figure out. Again, you have the time for it.
Yes, you do.
So
until you don't.
Until you don't.
We're not there yet.
No.
Cross that bridge when you get there.
Nope.
Scope it back out. And this is not necessarily something I'm viewing as a positive or a negative, just something that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But your best play driver on the team right now is Val Nichushkin. And I don't think, I thought MacKinnon was pretty decent outside of overtime tonight. Lehkonen and Nichus was okay. Not terrible like he was a couple of games ago, but not super duper involved either.
Not great like he was towards the beginning of the season.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Is this hey, ride Val while he's playing this well? Or is this some other guys need to get to Val's level?
Is it allowed to be both?
Sure. This one can be both.
No, I think both can be true at the same time.
Yeah.
There's something to be said of taking advantage of the players that you do have performing well. That is also not an excuse for your other players to play poorly. There are expectations from some of these guys, especially in Nichushkin, who is trying to earn a contract this year or after this year.
Those millions were going up the first 7 games, and now maybe they're coming back down a little bit.
No, if this is a guy who's trying to push for an $11.5 million contract, that's 11.5 million reasons why you should be playing better.
Yeah, true. Absolutely true. I'm not sure still what to make of the defense. And that is not, Cale Makar still a point per game player or better. Devontae's finally gets on the board in this one.
Mm-hmm.
You've liked a lot of what Josh Manson does, even if he is prone to the big mistake. I thought Brent Burns was actually much better tonight.
This was one of his better games of the season, I thought.
So there are a lot of things to like there, but I still feels like so much of your defense isn't set. You're even seeing Taves pick up shifts next to Ashawn in this game at times. And some of that is, you're dealing with Solovyov and Ashawn, and who are you even really playing as your 6? Is Middleton going to get into a game? I mean, who knows? But I guess there's more concern for me there as opposed to the forward core. And I know we talked about wanting to see that stability, but the forward core feels a lot more like flexibility than it does throwing stuff at a wall. The defense feels like you're throwing stuff at a wall sometimes right now.
Yeah, and that's where I don't know. Bednar goes into media day mentioning that their only hole really is at 3C. And again, hindsight is 2020, and we can look at that now and be like, no, there were a couple other things.
Lefty might be a hole too.
Right. And that's, I think, them reaping what the results of that, right?
Yeah.
And that's an issue. If you can't get the whole throwing it at a wall and hoping it sticks figured out in a couple of weeks, you start workshopping that in the front office a little bit more. There's something that needs that is one of the few issues that I would love to see the front office take a closer look at.
Yeah.
Is if Girard is still a couple weeks out, this is not it comes to a point where you cannot just say we are 10 games in, we are 15 games in anymore, and it becomes a bigger issue.
Eventually the season's half over, and now you're in a room where you've done nothing to fix it. Yeah.
Right. So that's kind of what I look at it as, is if this is not something that ends up working out in their favor a couple games from now, you got to take a closer look at making a trade or figuring
doing
something out.
Yep. I think that's fair. Again, probably too early to really go down that road unless something perfect just aligns.
Mm-hmm.
But it should be something in the back of your mind.
Yeah.
For sure.
Absolutely.
We are winding down towards the end of the show here. a couple of things in the chat. It's Mitch S. Was the third pairing still an issue? No.
I thought it was better this game.
I mean, Jack Ashawn is a little bit of a wild man out there, but that's just who he is. Like, that's what you're getting when you put him in the lineup.
I don't think the big mistakes in this game came from your third
I
pairing.
would agree with that.
Which
yes.
is all you can ask compared to last game.
Fair points.
So when Solovyov is making that many mistakes in a game, I think he earned the right to sit up in the press box for a game and figure things out while Ashawn kind of takes the driver's seat on that third pair a little bit.
Yeah, and the Avs had tired legs in this game.
Mm-hmm.
They're playing against a rested New Jersey team. And yeah, some of that first period is score effects where New Jersey gets out to a quick 2-0 lead, and maybe that makes the Avs push back a little bit easier because New Jersey doesn't keep the pedal to the floor. But we're talking about another game where the Avs don't give up a ton of shots. The Avs aren't getting walloped by these teams. They're the only game where it feels like they really got significantly outpossessed was the first Utah game, which they won.
Mm-hmm.
It is a consistent, good underlying process. And I know people are tired of me saying this already this year, but process is the biggest indicator of quality results. And the Avs can keep absolutely undermining that process if they keep making horrible mistakes. But there is good quality hockey underneath some of the issues that the Avs have to fix. And that's why I'm such a big believer in this team being fine. No need to worry. I mean, you should worry a little bit about the power play and the mistakes, but no need to big picture start freaking out.
No. That's... the Avalanche are maybe not in the best place. But again, if you are looking big picture, the Avs are sitting right now 14 points.
Yep.
That is, they're third in the league.
That's good.
As of right now, when looking at things big picture, the only two teams ahead of them are the New Jersey Devils and the Utah Mammoth. Only one of those teams I can see sustainably holding that spot.
Yeah, I'll believe the Mammoth if they're doing this at game 40.
Yeah. So that's where I'm like, panic levels are not high, but there's a lot to fix, a lot to work on. And I think as of right now, sitting game 10, you're looking at the standings and saying that's okay.
Yeah, I would look at it this way. And I watch a lot of hockey, so I'm watching other teams and stuff too. And I know people are going to go look at the standing and say, oh, well, what about Winnipeg? You know, they've only played 8 games and they have a better points percentage, even if they don't have the point totals that the Avs have. But when you go watch a team like Winnipeg, and, you know, people have limited free time. I'm not saying like, if you're busy, you're busy. But if you have the time to go watch a Winnipeg game, go watch one and go watch their process and compare it to the Avs and come back and tell me which team you think is better.
Yeah.
I can tell you, I think it's the Avs by a good margin. That isn't to say the Avs are perfect. Carolina, New Jersey, Dallas all have the check mark of a win against the Colorado Avalanche. And the Avs have to get one. The Avs have to get a win, not just to kill this 4-game losing streak, but they have to get a win to say, hey, we can beat high-end teams.
Statistically, it's going to come.
It will. It has to break eventually. And I think the second line really is the key to that. We've had this 3-game stretch where really good in a loss, really bad in a loss. And now tonight, I wouldn't say really good, but very good. Whatever.
You're not really good, but you're not really bad.
Right. You're helping the team more than you're hurting them in the last 2 out of 3 games. Hopefully the poor game in the middle is the anomaly and your second line picks up. You know your first line players are going to score almost every night. You're not worried about them. And you know your depth is quality.
Yeah.
A lot of reasons to still believe that not that just this team is very good, but it is one of the very best in the NHL. We do have one super chat here as we are getting down to the very end. 10, is that euros or nice? Sometimes lucky from Timo. who says, as pretty as 89-29, 88-29, and 62 look at 5-on-5, I would very much like to see 88 out of there or from power play 1. Make it less of circling around, accomplishing nothing. That said, without royal fuck-ups, Avs still win. I almost think it doesn't matter, the personnel.
Yeah.
It's just, you have to shoot.
Mm-hmm.
You have to shoot. This goes back to how the Avs came back in this first period. They shot the puck. They crashed the net. Bring that exact same mentality to your power play.
And this isn't an issue we're talking about.
It'll get better. Yeah.
Yeah. I see some of the vision there, but I really don't think, again, that's the biggest issue to worry about. We talk a lot about process, and that the process on the power play is really the only issue that I have with the process as a whole.
And shout out the homie AJ, looked this up before this game last night. But so far this season, the Avs are averaging less than a shot a minute on the power play. That's not enough.
No. And that has nothing to do with who you have out on the ice at that point.
They have to shoot. And that is why I do think they could use a kick in the pants of the fourth line, because the fourth line will go out there and shoot the puck. Mm-hmm. They will not try to play super fancy hockey.
That's a gritty group of 3 guys. So
I am here for the wake-up call, but your best scorers are your best scorers for a reason, and they have to figure it out themselves on the power play.
Yep.
That is what it is. Bailey, final thoughts as we are in overtime for this one.
I don't have much to say. Go home, workshop, get the win on Tuesday.
There you go. It's every loss is followed up by what you get done next. And maybe a few too many losses in a row. $5 from Yoshi coming in late here. Keep on keeping on DNVR. All the love. Appreciate y'all. Appreciate all of you. I know it gets heated in chat sometimes, especially when the Avs aren't winning. Understandable. Plenty of reason to be frustrated right now. The Avs will turn it around. I'm a believer.
Yeah. This is not this is a good team. This is a team that has a lot of talent. And I think after a couple more games of figuring things out, this is a team that we're maybe not having this many conversations around some of these issues we're talking about in a couple games down the road.
Yeah, I think you're right. And we all either look real dumb or real smart, depending on how it goes.
Keep the receipts, I guess.
We are out of here for this one. We appreciate all of y'all hanging out. We'll be back tomorrow for an off-day pod. We hope to see you there. This has been the DNVR Avalanche post-game show presented by Bet365.
Bye.
We all silly like the mayor.